Chapter 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Verse 1. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha shamsasi Yachreya etaro yekam Tanme bruhi sunischitam.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?
Shri Bhagavanuvāca Sannyasah karma yogascha nihi shreyaskara ubhau tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate.
The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
Jneyah sa nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna.
Sankhya yoga prutak pravadanti na panditaha ekamapyasthita samyak ubhayor vindate phalam.
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both.
Yat sankhya prapyate sthanam tadyogairapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sapashyati.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are.
Sannyasasthu mahabaho dukkhamapnumayo gataha yogayukto munirbrahma nachirenadhigacchati.
Merrily renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay.
Yogayukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate.
One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyet tatvavit pashyan shrunvan sprushan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan.
A person, sorry.
Go ahead, Mataji.
No, have you finished the Sanskrit?
I think there's the verse 8 and 9 are
Hmm.
together.
Yeah.
Do you want me to continue with 9?
Yes, please.
Pralapan visrujan gruhnan unmishan nimishan api indriyanindriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayan.
A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them.
ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यतेन स पापेन पद्मपत्रामिवाम्भसा.
One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the result unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये.
The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification.
युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तः कर्मकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
सर्वकर्माणि मनसा सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्.
When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentality, renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done.
न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्यासृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
The embodied spirit, master of the city of this body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature.
न दत्ते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभुः अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेह मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः.
Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge.
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवत् ज्ञानं प्रकाशायति तत्परम्.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानस्तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणा गच्छन्त्या पुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and this proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater outcasts.
इहैवाद्यैकितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः.
Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman.
न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थिरा बुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः.
A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, is already situated in transcendence.
बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत् सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयमश्नुते.
Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय नातेषु रमते बुधः.
An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुं प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगं सा युक्तः स सुखी नरः.
Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
योऽन्तः सुखान्तरारामस्तथां ज्योतिरेव यः स योगी ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ब्रह्मभूतोऽधिगच्छति.
One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
लभन्ते ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ऋषयः क्षीणकल्मषाः छिन्नद्वैधायतात्मानः सर्वभूतहिते रताः.
Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in Supreme.
कामक्रोधविमुक्तानां यतीनां यतचेतसाम् अभितो ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं वर्तते विदितात्मनाम्.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future.
स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यां चक्षुष्यैवान्तरे भ्रुवोः प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ यतेन्द्रियां मनोबुद्धिं मुनिः मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छाभयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः.
Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and the outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति.
A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this ends chapter 5. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, that was amazing, fantastic. Jyoti Mataji, that was very nice. Your English was perfect as usual. And Shailaja Mataji, the pronunciation of Sanskrit was absolutely superb. Just out of interest, were you reading from Sanskrit or the English translation?
I was actually reading that from my mother tongue, Prabhuji, so it's just easy to pronounce. I find it
Exactly.
very hard in the English, to be honest.
That's exactly. This is why I think if you can read Sanskrit or if you read it through the mother tongue, that's why your pronunciations were so perfect. Because otherwise you do get your ers and ahs mixed up. If you look at it in English, it's very difficult sometimes. But really nice. Thank you so much for reciting them so nicely, Shailaja Mataji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Okay, so devotees, let's move on to the presentation today. Give me a second. One second, my computer is not behaving today. 1 second. I'm trying to use this without my other screens, so I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. Give me a second. Why is not working today? I've practiced this before and it's not doing it. Sorry, devotees, just give me 1 second. I'm going to try and do it some other way. Okay, that's not going to work, so I'll let it go. Okay, sorry. I think I've got there. Hare Krishna. So we're reciting, continued recitation from chapter 5. Today we are on text 7. So we will just do the short summary, just in the beginning. So 1 to 6, Nishkam Karma Yoga, So Arjun is asking, just as in the beginning of chapter 3, Arjun is asking again to Krishna, which is better, renouncing the work, or Nishkama Karma Yoga, or actually, just taking sannyas. So then, of course, Krishna gives the answers, and then now from the 7th, the answer, of course, is easier to renounce the work than to take the sannyas. Now, how to perform this Karma Yoga? This section starts from text 7. So today's verse: Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 7. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanna Pina Lipyate. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. It's a very, very nice verse about the situation of a pure devotee, one who has actually achieved pure devotion. This is his situation. The purport, we've got 2 pages of purport. Now, I haven't got names here. Let me just see if I can do it on the screen. No. Okay. So I haven't got the names because I haven't got my second screen working today. So somebody can just unmute yourselves, whoever's ready to read the first page, please.
I can read Prabhuji's Bhagavati here.
Please, go ahead, Bhagavati Mataji.
Okay, purport, page 1 of 2. Hare Krishna, everyone. One who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches. Or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all. He is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on the Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matter other than the service of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Bhagavati Mataji. I can see Yashwini Mataji here on my screen. So Yashwini Mataji, you can take the second one, please.
Thank you. One who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water... Sorry, I'm reading the same thing again.
Oh, sorry. I didn't move the screen. I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry.
Okay, start again. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. And he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually, as the soul cannot be slain. So, spiritually, no one was killed on the battle of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Yashini Mataji. Om Adhyanati Mirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Papitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swakadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, interesting purport. So, who basically, a devotee is always friendly, and for that reason, because he cares for everybody, he doesn't have any selfish interest, so he is always dear to everybody, and everybody else is dear to him. So Prabhupada starts off his purport with this. He says, one who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. So now, a question to everybody. I know there's lots of you who have done the Bhakti Shastri course, so here's a bit of a revision. Can anybody name the 6 characteristics of Bhakti, as mentioned by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? I'll make a start, maybe it'll jog some memories. The first characteristics of Bhakti is Kleshagni. Kleshagni means where is all the Bhakti Shastris today? Very well. So Kleshagni means
Burning the material. Sorry.
Yeah, ability to destroy suffering. See, klesha means troubles. So Agni actually, like in this case, it doesn't mean fire, but it just means it destroys, removes. So as soon as we start devotional service, this is the first thing we get, first advantage, that all the suffering is removed. And in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami explains in detail how that works. If you remember the cycle of karma, sin, and how the sin works, and the end again, one who doesn't clear himself comes back to sin. So next one is Shubhada. And Shubhada is the one that we'll focus on a bit later. Shubhada means, I know we have a devotee called Shubhada who sometimes comes online here. I don't know if she's on today.
Wishing well for everyone.
Shubhada actually means this devotional service bestows auspiciousness. So Shubha means auspiciousness. should be Shubharatri, or we say, right? So, so auspiciousness. So the bhakti bestows auspiciousness. Then the third characteristic is moksha laguta krit.
Liberation.
Liberation.
Actually, liberation, but a bit more than that. What this means, moksha means liberation, but laguta krit means that it actually, in one sense, it disregards liberation. So one who is in devotional service is not even looking for liberation, as we all know. Liberation is only a byproduct, but he is solely interested in bhakti. For him, liberation is not his goal. Then the next one is Sudurlabha. This should be easy for everybody. Sudurlabha. What's Durlabha?
Is
Not beneficial.
non-auspicious.
No,
No.
difficult. Durlabha means
Yeah.
difficult, and Sudurlabha is very difficult. So it's rarely attained. Bhakti is rarely. So we are all doing bhakti, but we are practicing sadhana. But the achievement of pure bhakti is rarely attained. This is what the characteristic is. And then Sandaratma Vishesh, Sandaratma Vishesh Atma. This one means that this actually, once we get into the pure stage of bhakti, we get the experience of concentrated bliss, as it is explained that the happiness that we know for so-called in this world is actually just a fleeting kind of happiness. But real bliss is in the spiritual world, and that bliss is never ending, it is continuous, and is ever increasing. But that bliss we can also experience in this world if we get close to pure devotional service. And the last one is Shri Krishna Karshani. Krishna Karshani. So the key word is Akarshan here, Akarshan. And Krishna. So we can guess from there, it means
Attraction to Krishna.
Yeah, it actually attracts Krishna to us. Actually, in this case, it means this bhakti has the ability to attract Krishna, which means that when we get to pure devotional service, we don't have to go looking for Krishna. Krishna will come looking for us. That is the power of this bhakti, pure devotional service. And there's a Sanskrit verse which now I can't read because it's covered. Okay, so Kleshagni, Kleshagni Shubhada Moksha Laguta Krit Sudurlabha Sandananda Mishis Atma Sri Krishna Karshani. So I can get the message, but I can't see it on my screen. So now, as I said, we will focus on the Shubhada aspect because that is what is referred to in this particular verse that we are discussing today. So Shubhada has three aspects of Shubhada. So Shubhada has first aspect, which is possesses affection for all others, and he is the objection of others' affections. Exactly what this verse is saying. This devotee, he has affection for everybody, and everybody else has affection for him. In Sanskrit, it says Jagat Pranadi Dvaya Pradatvam. That is the first aspect of Shubhada, which is covered in this. And the other two are that person who is Shubhada actually means that it possesses all good qualities. Sat Gunadi Pradatvam. The third one is possesses happiness. Shukha Pradatvam. So this is the situation of one who reaches a stage of being pure. Prabhupada says in the purport now, such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separated from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. The Prabhupada often talks about this, that if you just pour the water on the leaves, simply pour the water on the leaves and nothing goes on to the roots, that tree is going to die. If you similarly, if you think that you can just supply food to your fingers and not take it to your mouth, or Prabhupada often says, if you just say, I'll stuff the food through different, holes in my head, it doesn't work. You have to put the food in the stomach, in the mouth, so it goes to the stomach, and then the rest of the body is enlivened. So similarly, by being in the devotional service of Krishna, or by serving the Supreme Lord, every entity in the world is satisfied. And this is why, as we said in the previous slide, because everybody is satisfied with the devotee, they always are happy to see a devotee. So there's a verse in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam which talks about this. Does anybody know this verse? By any chance? Yatha taror mula mula nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujo vashakaha prano paharacha yathendriyanam tathaiva sarvahanam achyutesya. Here it said, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are part and parcels of that Supreme Personality. So just as all our limbs are part and parcels of our body, similarly, the demigods are part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So when we satisfy the Lord, the demigods are automatically satisfied. So this particular verse is basically indirectly also aimed at people who are in favor of demigod worship. So nothing wrong with demigod worship, but if you do come to devotional service, then it is explained that it is it serves all purposes. So you satisfy the demigods as well by devotional service, and getting, of course, a lot more from the devotional service. Prabhupada continues, because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. So this is the trick. The trick is to keep our mind in Krishna, and if we are able to do it that way, if we're able to maintain our concentration on Krishna, it doesn't matter what we do. We don't have to change our ashram, we don't have to change our jobs, we don't have to change where we live. It is said that wherever we live, whatever we are doing, we just need to bring Krishna into the center. So there are many examples. People give examples always about, even preparing food. So right from the beginning, right from the time when we go shopping, we think of Krishna, because yes, I'm going to go shopping today because I'm going to get some bhoga so I can prepare nice dishes for Krishna. Then when you are cooking, of course, you're thinking about what I'll cook for Krishna today. I hope Krishna likes this. And then we're offering it and we're honoring it. We are still thinking of Krishna. Think Krishna, we say a prayer, of course, before we are honoring the prasadam. We thank Krishna for giving us this wonderful prasadam, which purifies our senses, which otherwise are dragging us to hellish conditions. So here we have a verse in the 5th canto. This is King Rishabh instructing his sons. And he's saying, Parabhavas tavad abodhajato yavan jignasata atma tattvam yavat kriyas tavad idam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandhaha. He's saying that as long as one does not inquire about the spiritual value of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka. colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear. As long as because I'm not able to read that last part on my screen. As long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, I'm going from memory now, he has to accept material body. I think that's it, yeah. So you can see that unless we are thinking of spiritual values is thinking about Krishna's instructions of our spiritual masters. So one way or the other, we are thinking of Krishna. If we are not, then we'll be doing other karma, and that karma is going to create. That means we're going to be engaged in fruitive activity, and as long as we are engaged in fruitive activity, the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and then we're going to just keep getting one body after the other. Prabhupada continues, it does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. It does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. And it does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. So, does anybody know who's the personality in the white here?
Prahlad Maharaj.
No, it could be, but it's not.
Ambrish Maharaj, Prabhuji.
Yes, Ambrish Maharaj. Thank you. I think that was
Ambrish.
Yes, yes. Was it Girish Prabhu? Ambrish, yeah. Ambrish Maharaj. So Ambrish Maharaj, those who were in the Wednesday class a couple of weeks ago, I was using the same slide. So Ambrish Maharaj, it said, this is a verse from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describing his activities. So this, as Prabhupada says in this purport, that he doesn't eat, he doesn't want to eat anything, does not connect, he doesn't want to do anything that's not connected to Krishna. So Ambrish Maharaj, this is his situation. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor, vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane, karau hare mandira marjanadishu, shuttim takara chutta sat kathodaye. So this is how he operated. Ambrish Maharaj, he always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna. Or, now can somebody complete this for me, because I can't read the rest of it on my screen.
Or about Krishna.
Or about Krishna. Okay, thank you. Somehow some parts are, oh yeah, I can move it actually. Still there's some is covered. Okay. So there you go. So this is the mentality that as a devotee must develop. Just briefly, just people who may not know about this particular katha that is depicted in this picture. Ambrish Maharaj was a king, a very, very powerful king, a very successful king. He had everything. He had a huge kingdom. He had all servants. He had everything that he could have ever asked for. But he was such a pure devotee of the Lord. He still acted this way. So he was a king, but he always meditated upon the feet of Lord Krishna. He actually used he didn't ask his servants to clean the temples. He actually, with his own hands, he cleaned the temples. He used his ears to hear the words of Krishna. He used to use his legs to walk to the temples of Krishna. He said it later on in a verse. So he was like this, completely absorbed in Krishna. And one time, Durvasha Muni, who we can see on the left here, pointing the finger. Durvasha Muni, what is Durvasha Muni famous as? What's it famous for?
Anger.
Anger. It's very famous for two things, anger and cursing. So in this case, he's actually using a third thing as well. So what happens is the Durvasha Muni has come. He comes with his entourage. I think 10,000 number is mentioned, 10,000 followers. And so Maharaj Ambrish receives them very nicely. And he says, okay, you can go and take a bath in nearby river. And in the meantime, we'll make arrangements for prasadam. Now, of course, Ambrish Maharaj is a very, very powerful king, very successful. He had all the amenities. So he arranges to prepare a fantastic feast for the Rashamuni and his followers. So what happened was that, as it happened, this happened to be the day a particular moment arrived when the Rashamuni, Amrish Maharaj, who had just finished a particular fasting period. So when you have a fast, whatever kind of fast we do, as we know, when you do Ekadashi, the next day there's a particular time for Paran, which means you have to break your fast between that time. Unless we do that, then you have to continue and do your Ekadashi through your Dwadasi as well. So Amrish Maharaj apparently had been doing a 1 year fast, and that was a day, and there was a particular time he had to break the fast. So the Rashamuni and his followers didn't return in time, and he was wondering what to do, because if I don't break my fast, I have to continue for another year. So some of his advisors, some of the Brahmanas, they said to him that, look, just drink water, because if you drink water, you haven't taken an, so that means in one sense you haven't broken your fast. Because you drunk water, in one sense, you've also broken. So it's like, you've done it and also not done it. That way, at least your fast is broken and you can continue. So Amrish Maharaj takes water. And just as he's taking water, the Rashamuni arrives. And he says, how dare you? How dare you? In the Vedic system, of course, a host would never eat or drink anything until his guest is sat down and fed first. So he really insulted. And he, in this case, is angry. What he does is he takes a hair. I don't have any hair on my head, but he took one hair from his head and smashed it on the ground. And this fiery demoness appeared, ready to devour Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj, as you can see in the picture, he is not running away. Some of his servants are running away behind, but he is not even moved. He is just standing there, very still. Why? Because he has complete faith in Krishna. He knows, okay, whatever happens is going to happen for the best. If Krishna wants me to die, let him kill me. If he wants to protect me, he will protect me. So why should I do anything? So he's just standing there peacefully. And of course, what Krishna does, Krishna sends his Sudarshan Chakra straight away and destroys the demoness. And then runs after, the children start running after the Rashamuni. The Rashamuni starts running, not just running, he's flying. Don't forget, the Rashamuni is actually an accomplished yogi. So he's got all these siddhis. So he actually flies through the air, not just this particular planet, but he goes to Kailash, and he pleads to Lord Shiva, please, Lord Shiva, help me, save me from this chakra. Lord Shiva says, no, I can't. The chakra belongs to Vishnu. I can't help you. He then goes to Brahma. Brahma gives him the same answer. From Brahmaloka, he goes actually to Vaikuntha. And he says to Narayan, please, take your weapon back. Narayan says, yeah, I know it's my weapon, but I can't take it back. You have to apologize to the person you offended. And only then the weapon will come back. So he comes all the way back down and he falls down at the feet of Amrish Maharaj, apologizing. Amrish Maharaj, being such a magnanimous devotee, of course, forgives him straight away and everything is okay. So it just shows you that with faith, the Lord always protects his devotee. And we saw that also in the Prahlad Maharaj's case. So that's just to recap the story. But again, just coming back to this verse, the whole idea of the verse is that once we become Krishna conscious, our habits, bad habits are gone. We are then acting not to please our senses, and in this way our senses are controlled. Once the senses are controlled, our consciousness is clear, and once our consciousness is clear, then we're acting in such a way that we're not committing any offenses, and everybody loves us, and we love everybody else. So devotees, I will stop here. It's 2038. I will invite any questions and comments. Sorry about the technical glitches. We'll fix it for next time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rupa Mataji.
My humble obeisances to you. I wanted to ask, about Durvasha Muni, because he's famous for anger and cursing. So I was thinking of the verse where Krishna says lust, greed and anger would take you to hell. So how come Durvasha Muni was a Muni and he had so much anger, because anger will take you to hell? So I was thinking about that.
Yeah, so nice thought, a nice question, Rupa Mataji. You know how it's like this. With devotees, there's devotees and they are yogis, right? So the yogis, an example is the Rasa Muni, they spend a lifetime perfecting these siddhis. So they are very powerful, just as we saw in the story. The Rasa Muni was so powerful. Not only could he create a fearful demoness from his hair, but he could then also fly all the way to Vaikuntha. So this was the kind of power that the yogis can have. But that does not mean that he is a pure devotee yet, right? So that's the difference. The yogis can have the siddhis, but they would still have these anarthas, which a pure devotee would not have. So this again proves that a pure devotee is higher than yogi in terms of his sense control, as well as his controlling his anger, etc., etc. So I hope that clarifies that.
Okay, Prabhuji. And Muni is somebody who is, what's the definition of Muni?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what there's contradiction there. When people are given a title Muni means somebody who's in complete control of his senses. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see Muni here is not in control of his senses. In terms of, at least, he's not in control of his anger. So yes, they also there are flaws. So these are not perfect devotees. They are, of course, they are very respectable. The Vasha Muni, you have to respect him for his tapasya and for what he's achieved. But it doesn't make him a perfect a devotee.
Okay. Was Durvasha Muni in Draupadi's case as well? When Draupadi didn't have any food, it was one rice was left over. Was it
yes,
Durvasha?
exactly. Yes. He was the same person who exactly. It was Durvasha Muni, and in that case, Krishna saved by this Akshay Patra.
Yes.
And he was able to, and in that case, Durvasa Muni didn't have a chance to get angry, because him and all his disciples felt so full that they didn't come back for prasad.
I'll be very scared of Durvasha Muni.
Oh my God, we should be. We should be. We should be, because that's why, sometimes we have to be careful. We have to stay away from some of these yogis, because they do have powers, and if we get on the wrong side, they could do some damage. They do have, of course, if we are pure devotees, Krishna will protect us, like in this case of Ambrish Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. But then we have to be at that level, otherwise, we will suffer. So yes, that's why we stay away from some of these characters.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Rupa Mataji, Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
Okay. Prabhuji, there is a question in the chat.
Sorry, just so one coming. Thank you. Thank you for sharing me. Okay. Why does the Ekadashi fast have to be broken in a specific time period, usually straight after sunrise? I have noticed this period, the reason sometimes it's after the sunrise. Yeah. So it's not actually to do with the sunrise. This Paran period. Now it's very technical actually. I did ask this once to Kartik Chandra Prabhu. He explained to me, but a lot of it I have already forgotten. It was very technical. It is all to do with from a UK temple to get the time right. Not just the UK temple. What I was surprised to also find out was the time in Leicester and time in London will be slightly different, a few minutes. So it's very precise, very scientific. But yeah, the reason why it has been to be done, I cannot answer it fully. We need to ask somebody like Pandit, like Kartik Chandra Prabhu. But yeah, of course, there's a reason, and those reasons are there in the Shastra. I cannot recall them now. Sorry about that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just know a few points about that if I can add it.
Yes, please, Sharaja Mataji.
So we will fast on the Ekadashi, which doesn't have to be 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. as per the English calendar, but it happens as per the astrology and the those things. And as per the Indian calendar, as soon as the Dwadashi starts, which is the next day after the Ekadashi, which is ideally after the sunrise, that is when it has to be broken. And that will be not a straight time, but that is a slot of the combination of Ekadashi and the Dwadashi. That is when the fast is broken. And after that, it will be a pure Dwadashi. And that is, not considered to be, very good for fasting the break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and we will not
like,
even let it move on to the Trayodashi, which is the third day after the Ekadashi. So within that particular combination of both the days, it is broken for the best result.
Okay, so that's thank you, Shalaja Mataji. This also brings back the memory, because what I was explained was that yes, it's some kind of the sandhi between Ekadashi and Dwadashi. That sandhi period is important, and that's where you break it.
And why it varies every time is the Dwadashi, the Muhurtam when the Dwadashi day starts as per the Panchangam. That is how it varies every time.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And sometimes you have a very short time. I know there's one particular Ekadashi, it is 1 or 2 in a year, where you only have like half an hour, or sometimes you only have even less than that between the time. So it's very scientific. But we have to just, what I do is I do ask a question. If something that can stick in my mind, fair enough. Otherwise, I accept it as a truth that Prabhupada has given us and the Acharya has given us. Just follow it. Hema Mataji, were you making a comment?
Oh, no, sorry, Prabhuji.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Joli Mataji.
The one about ability to attract Krishna. Isn't Krishna always there for us and attracted
yes,
to us?
Yes. So, no. Yeah, absolutely. So Krishna is always there and he's always attractive. So we as souls are always attracted to Krishna. And Krishna loves us too. Right?
Yeah.
Because we have chosen, we have used our minute independence to turn away from Krishna. Right? So Krishna is letting us carry on, because that's also he's not going to interfere with our free will. But when you start to call out for him, when he realizes that we are actually reached a stage of purification, then he's attracted to us. Krishna is not as attracted to, he's attracted, of course, all living entities are his children, but he is more attracted to the one who turns to him. It's like, if we have, for example, if I had 5 children and one of them was always so lovey-dovey, cuddly, he would come to me, always want to me, automatically I'd have more feelings for him, right? Others are independent, they're doing their own things, then I would, yes, I care for them, but they're doing their own things, fair enough. You know what I mean? It's just literally very, very
because he's always available to us, isn't he?
He's of course. He's
just
there.
We wander off and we don't take that attraction.
Absolutely. So souls who are wandering off, Krishna always cares, and he's trying always to bring them back. But then when everybody turns to him, just like Gopkumar, you see that picture, the famous picture, right? Krishna would love to hug everybody, just like he's hugging Gopkumar, but we are not going to him. That's the thing.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Our devotees is coming at 10 to 9, so we will close for today. Thank you so much, devotees. Mancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhi eva
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.